Hello, welcome to SomaAscension. I am Zenergy, and today we are talking about the process of awakening and finding spirituality and maybe embodying spirituality in your life and what that could mean without doing the ego work and the self-awareness. We can find ourselves, or it's actually our ways to survive by spiritualizing itself. So here are some of the most common traps that we will run into as spiritually awakening beings. Spiritual bypassing. This is perhaps one of the most frequent traps. It involves using spiritual ideas and practices to avoid facing unresolved emotional wounds, psychological issues, and basic adult responsibilities. The trap is using high vibes only to repress anger, or using everything as an illusion to ignore personal boundaries or financial debt. The reality is that true awakening requires going through the human experience, not around it. Another one is the superiority complex, or spiritual ego. One gains insight, adopts new practices. The ego can hijack this progress to feel more evolved than others, better than. The trap is that judging those who eat meat, watching mainstream news, or aren't awake, this creates a new layer of separation, the very thing spirituality aims to dissolve. The reality is that if your practice makes you feel superior to others, you aren't practicing presence, you are practicing elitism, and that comes in all the different ranges. Another trap you could fall into is chasing the high. Many beginners have profound openings or satori moments and spend the next decade trying to recreate it. The trap is turning spirituality into a form of hedonism, where you are constantly seeking the next retreat, the next plant medicine ceremony, the next energy shift to feel a certain way. The reality is that awakening is about being present with what is, including the mundane, the boring, the painful, and people who are unhealed. Another one is the conceptual trap, the map versus the territory. It is easy to fall in love with the philosophy of awakening rather than the practice of it. Reading every book on non-duality and sacred geometry and being able to speak the language fluently is the trap if you lack the actual embodiment of peace or compassion in daily life. The reality is that you cannot think your way into presence. At some point, the books must be closed so the life can be lived. And finally, we have magical thinking and lack of grounding. While opening to the unseen is part of the path, losing a tether to the physical reality can be dangerous. The trap is attributing every minor coincidence to the universe sending a sign, or ignoring medical advice in favor of purely energetic healing. A combination of all of these things is what's really required. The reality is that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. A healthy path balances the ethereal with the practical, chopping wood and carrying the water. And lastly, we have the healed mirage. The belief that there is a finish line where you will finally be perfect, where you will finally never be triggered again, where you will finally be healed, whole, all of those things. The trap is becoming frustrated when old emotions resurface, leading to a sense of failure. The reality is that healing is often spiral shaped. It's roller coaster shaped. It's back and forth shaped. You will meet the same lessons at deeper levels. The goal isn't to be trigger free, but is to be spacious enough to hold the trigger without reacting. To have your nervous system regulated enough and your self-awareness up enough to where you notice whether or not these signs are really coming from the universe, or are they coming from your ego trying to keep you in stuck patterns? Is your nervous system reacting out of an old trauma that you haven't fully processed yet, or is this a new experience coming in? These are all the things that are going to have to be questions that you ask yourself. Constantly be questioning yourself, constantly be questioning your behavior, constantly be questioning whether or not you are who you think you are. All of this stuff is so malleable and so in your power, in your ball court. This is your game. So take that power back and don't feed the ego. Much love.